My name is Laura McGowan Robinson. I am the founder and CEO of Diversity and Leadership Institute. Research shows that TK through 12 students in California, particularly students of color, experience better outcomes when they're in schools led by educators of color. But far too often, this is not the case. In California, approximately 60% of public school students are Black or Latinx, yet less than 1/3 of the schools have a Black or Latinx leader. The mission of DLI is to create equitable outcomes for Black and Latinx students by building a movement of racially diverse and culturally responsive public education leaders. We foster conditions that increase retention among public school educators of color, encourage advocacy, enable collaboration among schools and their community, and ultimately create equitable outcomes for historically marginalized students.
Research shows that educators of color have a positive impact on all students. That's why I'm a member of the DLI. Currently, there's a shortage of educators of color, especially Black teachers and school leaders, working with our students in California public schools. But the DLI intends to change that by amplifying the great work that's already happening out there in our schools and by supporting more aspiring school leaders of color along that pipeline towards school leadership.
What stood out most to me about the Diversity and Leadership Institute wasn't the people, although it's made up of an incredible group of leaders. It was not even our leader, Dr. Laura McGowan Robinson, though she is a fearless leader. It was the data. Now, we spend millions of dollars every year trying to address the disparate educational outcomes that we see in our world today. We try to make kids grittier. We extend hours in the school day. But school leaders of color affect these outcomes so much more than many of these interventions. And so I'm excited to begin to unpack that data, to highlight the excellence we're seeing in leaders of color, and to figure out how all teachers can learn from them. I'm also excited to learn from those leaders about what they need, how we can support them even as they support our kids.
At DLI, we do 4 things. 1, build capacity through our Aspiring Principal of Color Fellowship. 2, foster community building and networking through our School Leader of Color Network. 3, consult with districts, charters, and nonprofit organizations to build racially equitable and inclusive environments for educators of color. And 4, build coalitions to advocate for policy and practices that create more racially equitable and inclusive conditions for educators of color.
It is so important to have Black and brown educators present and prominent in schools that contain more than just Black and brown students. Educators that can lead with a steady hand, yet understand and work to meet the needs of their students. I'm asking that as leaders and teachers, you pledge to continue learning and growing, to remember that your actions can bring a significant change in a student's life. I ask that you pledge to work towards incorporating more Black and brown teachers, counselors, and administrators on campuses.
So today, I invite you to join our movement in creating K-12 public school systems across the state of California that are more reflective of the students and families that they serve. Thank you so much.